to do, okay. So today we're going to be doing variables and one variable linear equations.
So we're first going to review our homework from yesterday. So, and for each of these questions, if you would type your answer in the chat and we can see if you are right in the next slide of the Jamboard. So the first one is find the prime factorization of that number you see on the screen.
All right.
Yeah, we're seeing some answers. So,
All right, so let's see the next slide.
So yeah, the answer is what most of you guys put in the chat. So 2 squared times 3 to the 5th times 13 squared times 17.
And okay, so I know some of you may have felt like this is a huge number, right? And it might have looked a bit overwhelming, but it still follows the same rules as finding the prime factorization of any smaller number. So you should use the divisibility rules to see what that's divisible by. And for example, here we knew it was divisible by 9 because the digits sum up to a multiple of 9. And then from there, you just further break it down into prime factors, one step at a time. Does anyone have any questions or want us to go into more depth? Okay, so let's check our math. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times. I'm not sure what you mean by add up. Like if you try multiplying this out 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times all of these numbers, then it does get you back to that original number, which means it is the correct prime factorization. Okay, so here's the second problem. What is the value of the least common multiple divided by the GCF of 2,166,633 and 5,112,121? So go ahead and put your answer in the chat if you manage to solve this one. Okay, so all the same answer, and that would be correct. So like we were going on about in class yesterday, the first step here is to find the prime factorizations of both numbers. And then we have to find LCM divided by GCF. So GCF are the terms that are in common between both of them. So let's see here. Both of them have 7 squared, and then both of them have 17 squared. So then you write that on the bottom for the GCF. And then LCM is basically taking whichever ones have the highest exponents out of both of them. So we take 3 squared, 7 squared, and 17 cubed because that's higher than 17 squared, and then 19 squared. Then finally, we just type that all into our calculator or do it manually if you want to, and you get that answer. So good job if you got that.
Okay, so now we're on to question number 3. And in a band, musicians are expected to stay in a rectangular formation of rows and columns. When the musicians are in rows of 6, exactly 3 people are left out. And when the musicians are in rows of 9, 10, and 13, exactly 3 people are also left out. What is the least number of possible people in the band? Okay, so I'm seeing 1,173 from everyone, and that is, and that's correct. So basically, it's just going to be the least common multiple of 6, 9, 10, and 13. And then you're going to add 3 to that so that you can get the 3 people who are left out. And so the least common multiple of 6, 9, 10, and 13 is going to be 1,170. And then 1,170 plus 3 is going to be 1,173. Are there any questions about that? Okay, if not, we're going to move on.
So the fourth question is, I have a cabinet of CDs, and if I stack as many as I can in 7 stacks, there are 4 remaining CDs. If I stack as many as I can in 13 stacks, there are 10 remaining CDs. And if I stack as many CDs as I can in 17 stacks, there are 14 remaining. What is the least amount of CDs I can have? So we're seeing a couple of 1,554s, but the actual answer is 1,544 because here it's similar to the last question, but this time you are subtracting instead of adding. Since if you can see, for example, for the 7 stacks, there's 4 remaining, which means you need 3 more. 7 minus 4 is 3 to get another full stack. So you find the LCM of those 3 numbers they give you, and then you subtract 3, which gives you 1,544. Does anyone have any questions about this one?
All right, last question. If I stack all the books I have in 11 stacks, 7 are remaining. If I stack all the books I have in 13 stacks, 9 are remaining. If I stack all the books I have in 15 equal stacks, there are 14 books remaining. What is the least amount of books I can have? So did anyone figure this problem out? All right, that's okay. So let's see how we should solve this one. So first, we can see like basically the same pattern as the previous problem. So 11 stacks, 7 are remaining. That means we would need 4, we're missing 4 books from having like more stacks. And so then the same thing for the 13 stacks. So we find the LCM of 11 and 13, and then we subtract 4 to figure out how many books. And so then we also know that our result from that is 1 less than a multiple of 15. So then basically we just keep multiplying either like 143 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and subtracting 4. And we see which one of those is one less than a multiple of 15, because that would result in 14 books remaining, like it says in the second to last sentence of the problem. And so we see that the smallest case that fits all the conditions in the problem is 854. So they must have 854 books.
Why do you do the -4 thing?
All right, good question. So you can see up here, you stack all the books into 11 stacks. And then there are 7 books remaining. So if you had 4 more books, you could go make like another stack of, you could put another book in it.
Oh, I see. Everything's like 4, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the 15.
Yeah, and then so that one is why we have to do like this writing out and then trying to find the cases. Okay, so let's go back to this presentation.
So, okay. So single variable equations. What is a variable? A variable is a symbol that represents a value that we don't know. So for example, this could be like X or Y. And a variable is almost the same thing as a number. You can do any arithmetic you want with that variable that you can do with numbers. So for instance, 6y is going to be equal to 6 times y. Yeah, you can write this down in your notebook if you want to take notes. Actually, I recommend that you take notes. Okay. Do you want us to wait a little bit so you can do that, or? Okay. So basically a variable is like basically it's almost the same thing as a number, and you can do any arithmetic that you want with it that you can do with a regular number. They want you to go back to the homework.
What problem? All right. Is there something in particular about 5 you're confused about? Because we can go back over that.
So you use like each example, like what like you know the chart on the side, you
Yeah.
solve for each number, and if it was one less than a multiple of 15, then that was the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically we don't know how many like times we have to do it. So we try a bunch of different multipliers, and then we see whichever one fits the criteria, what's the lowest one that fits the criteria. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so what is a single variable linear equation? So an equation is a statement that the values of two mathematical expressions are equal. So this is indicated by the equal sign. And some examples that you probably have seen before are like 4 plus 5 equals 9, 3 plus 2 equals 5. And a single variable linear equation is when you have an equation like that and only one variable is used. So 5 plus x equals 9, 3 plus x equals 5, and 6x or 6 times x is equal to 42. Those would be examples of a single variable linear equation.
I'll give you a few seconds to take notes if you're doing that. Okay, so how should we solve single variable linear equations? So basically your end goal, if you're solving an equation with a variable in it, is to find what value of x makes the equation true. And so you need to isolate the variable on one side of the equal sign and have all of the other numbers, such as, we'll explain the other numbers in the chart. You want all of those on the other side of the equal sign. So some other numbers, there's a coefficient, which is basically the number that's multiplying the variable. So you can see here 5, that means 5 times x. And there's also constant terms, which you might see like being added or subtracted. And so, okay, so when you're isolating, what you have to do is basically do the opposite. So you can see here, this side is 5x plus 7. And so if what you have to do to one side, you also have to do to the other side. So we can subtract 7 from both sides. And so then that gets rid of the plus 7 on this side and moves a minus 7 to the other side. And so we can also do something similar to get rid of the coefficient. We divide both sides by 5. All right, we'll go through some examples. So hopefully that makes more sense.
Yeah. So example number 1, which is x plus 5 is equal to 9. So here we want to isolate the variable. Yeah, okay, so I already see people saying x is equal to 4. So basically you want to isolate the variable, and to do this, you'd subtract 5 from both sides of the equation. And then that would give you x is equal to 4. A key thing you need to remember when doing these is that whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other so that it stays stays equal and balanced.
So again, we need to isolate the variable, and 6x is the same thing as 6 times x. We just write it like that. So first, we would divide both sides by 6. And then that would give us 7, which is what some of you guys said in the chat. And yeah, so this reminder is going to be there for the next couple of examples, so that, because it's really important that you do the same thing to both sides.
All right, so here's a more complex example. And so you can see that there's basically two numbers, a coefficient and a constant that we need to get rid of. So which one should we get rid of first? All right, you can type it in the chat. Should we get rid of the 5 or should we try to get rid of the 7? Yeah, good. It's easier if we get rid of the 7 first. So what we can do is subtract 7 from both sides. And then that gets us 5x equals 15. And now it's easy to just divide both sides by 5. And then that gets us x equals 3, like some of you are saying in the chat.
Okay, so example 4. Yeah, so what's our first step going to be here? Because now we have x divided by 5. This is something we haven't seen before. So yeah, Charles said to subtract 10 from both sides. Yeah, he said to subtract 10 from both sides, and then that'll give us x divided by 5 is going to be equal to 10. And then we multiply by 5 on both sides so that we can get rid of the fraction. And then we'd get x is equal to 10 times 5, which is going to be x is equal to 50. All right.
So now we're going to do some practice with a Jamboard, and we're going to put this link in the chat for you. So give us 1 second.
And don't do anything yet, okay? We'll go through the directions.
Yeah. So just open it, but don't do anything just yet. And basically, there's going to be some slides with some problems, and you're gonna go to one of those slides, put your name at the bottom, and then solve all of the equations that you see on there. And so in the beginning, there's a couple of reminders and an example. So remember two things. We need to isolate the variable, and we do this by moving the variable to one side and then the other numbers to the other side. And then whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. And if you are stumped on any of these questions, you can come to this screen and create a sticky note. So that's like, if you look at your little toolbar on the left, you can see a sticky note and you just click that. And then, so if you have a question, you can just write whichever one it is and people can try to help you. So, and then the next slide is just a simple equation to help you remember what to do. So yeah, the answer is x equals 4 for this. So yeah, don't go to a slide somebody else has already written their name on. Just keep going. There's enough for everybody. So
You can go
and
ahead
when,
and put your name now.
yeah. And when you're done, you can just like type that you're done in the chat or something so we know when to move on.
It says I need access.
Are you on the right account?
I don't think so. Let me check.
But anyone should be able to do it. So
Mm,
Yeah, it says everyone is able to edit if they have the link.
Okay, so what you should do is everyone just takes the slide on their own and does all the problems. And then each person has their like unique slide where they do all the problems on that slide.
yeah. So you're not supposed to, yeah. So put your name at the bottom of the like slide. And whoever said they can't access it, can you now?
no. It's okay. I'll just do it on a piece of paper.
Okay, that's fine too. So as long as you have your answers, that's fine.
All right, keep filling in the ones at the back, right? And then we'll give you around 12 minutes. So don't worry, don't panic about getting everything done, but just try your best. Oh, sorry, we'll give you 24 minutes.
Do we have to like show our work, or can we just do the work on a piece of paper?
I think you can just do it on a piece of paper because it would be a little hard to show your work on a Jamboard, but you can use like the pen and use your mouse to write your work if you want to. What exactly do you mean by fill the X with my answer? The person who wrote their answer, question on the sticky note on the first slide. Three on X. Well, you would just write X equals 3. You don't have to like replace it on the question.
When you finish, you can go ahead and like write "I'm done" in the chat, so we know when you can move on. It's okay if you can't find the answer to one of them, just skip over it, and then we'll definitely go through all of them at the end. If you're finished, just hold tight, and we'll give everyone else a few more minutes. All right, we're going to go ahead and explain all the problems. Don't worry if you didn't get done, okay? But we're just going to start explaining them. And so feel free to check your answers as we go along. So let's just find an empty one here. All right. So Kayan, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I'll do the first row. So, okay, so this one, the first one, you would just divide both sides by 83. And that would give us x equals 3, which I saw a lot of you guys had. And then this one, the second one is also very similar. So we would just divide both sides by 3, which would get us x equals 8. Then here we first subtract both sides by 25, which would get us 5x is equal to -5. Then we just divide both sides by 5 to get our x. So x equals -1. And then this one, we first subtract by 7 on both sides. So whenever you have like the variable multiplied by a constant, and then also, there its coefficient, and then also a constant at the end, it's easier to get rid of the constant first. So then that gives us 4x is equal to 20. Then divide both sides by 4, which gets us x equals 5.
Okay, so moving on. This first problem requires distributive property, which you might not have known. So what you do when you have like something multiplied by something else in parentheses, you basically multiply that outside number by each term. So we do 3 times x and then 3 times -2. And so then that gives us 3x minus 6 equals 6. So now we add 6 to both sides. And then that gets us 3x equals 12. And then x equals 4 from there when you divide both sides by 3. But I don't feel like writing that out. And so then this next one, first step is to try to isolate x. So we add 5x to both sides of this. Okay, this is really confusing to do on a computer. And then we also add 26 to both sides to help us isolate x. So plus 26. And then once we've done that, we get 36 equals 6x. Divide both sides there by 6, and then you get x equals 6. So this next one, isolate x by adding 4 to both sides, and then that gets us 4x equals 44, x equals 11 when we divide both sides by 4. Okay, and then this final one. So one way you can approach this is just to multiply both sides by 15 to get, because that's the common denominator of these. So then that gets you 5a plus 3a equals 8 times 15, which would be 120. So 8a equals 120, a equals 15.
Okay. So next question is 2x divided by 3 is going to be equal to 4. And to do this, we're going to isolate x again, and we're going to multiply both sides by 3. And this will give us 2x is equal to 12. And then we divide both sides by 2. And we get x is equal to 6. Right, and then for this one, for the next one, -4 times x minus 6 is equal to 12. We divide both sides by -4. Then we get x minus 6 is equal to -3. And then we add 6 to both sides. And we get x is equal to 3. For this next one, we subtract 8 from both sides to isolate x. And then we get x divided by 7 is going to be equal to -6. Then we multiply by 7 on both sides. And we get x is going to be equal to -42. And for this last one, we can do something called distributing, and we're going to expand this part of the first equation, and we're just going to simplify the first equation and get something simpler. So we're going to distribute this, going 2x minus 2 times -5, or 10. So 2x minus 10 plus 6x is equal to 8. And then we can simplify this by combining like terms, or combining the 2x and the 6x, and we get 8x is equal to, or 8x minus 10 is equal to 8. And then we add 10 to both sides. And we get 8x is 8x is equal to 18. And then we divide by 8 on both sides, and we get x is going to be equal to 9/4. Okay. Are there any questions about that last row? Okay. So what's your question? Is it fine if you didn't simplify? Which one are you referring to? Are you referring to the 9/4? Are you saying if it's fine? Usually you should always be simplifying the fraction and keeping it in simplest terms. But yeah, you should always put
Is
it
it
in
okay to make like a decimal?
That's fine. Oh, okay. I was just asking. Yeah, and math counts math counts and AMC, they always want it in the simplest form. They usually don't accept if it's like not in simplest form. So if like you say 18/4, so like 18/8, that would be wrong.
Everyone gets a star. All right. Good job, guys. This might take me a while. Okay, let's continue on with the rest of our presentation. Okay, so what are some applications of one variable linear equations? Can you guys think of where you might use these kind of equations? Or maybe some other formulas or equations relating to this that you might know? You can just type your answers in the chat or unmute. Maybe you guys have heard of some more advanced formulas. Or maybe not. That's very true, Charles.
This is just a discussion, so there's no right or wrong answer. So just feel free to share anything you know about this.
What do you mean you don't know single variable equations? Isn't that what we just did? Mm. Yeah, distribution is a variable. That's something very important to know. Okay, so let's continue on with some applications. When you start learning algebra, you'll do a lot of stuff involving linear equations and how to graph them on a coordinate plane. And they're going to be very important as you move on. And then, like we mentioned, formulas. Formulas are very important because if you just apply them, you can solve problems. But it's even more important to understand how the formulas work, because that prevents you from making mistakes in your math. And if you understand how a formula works, then even if the problem is a little bit different, you know how to adjust the formula to match a different format of the problem. So an example of a formula would be the area of a rectangle. Area equals base times height.
So word problems, and usually questions regarding single variable linear equations, especially on math competitions such as the AMC or math counts, are never really going to be direct applications such as what is 5x plus 7 equals 22. So these types of problems are a little more disguised in the form of word problems. And we're going to go over how to interpret them and then create variables, set up a linear equation based on the scenario.
Okay, so when you set up an equation to help you solve a word problem, first you should always read the question multiple times to understand what exactly you're trying to find. And then you should assign variables to those unknown values and use the equation, the information in the problem to help write the rest of the equation to let you solve for that variable. Okay, we're going to look into a few examples so that makes more sense. 3 times a number is 5 less than 6 times a number. What is the number? Okay, so first we're going to need to set up an equation. Right now, does anyone know how we should set that up? You can type your equation in the chat. Yeah, 3x equals 6x minus 5, or 3 plus 5 equals 6x. Same thing. And so first, we're going to set a variable for a number. So this example, we can use n. The left side of the equation will be 3n, like it says in the problem. And the right side is -5 plus 6n, because 3 times the number is 5 less than 6 times the number. And so that's our equation. Now we have to try and solve it. Okay. So first we isolate n on one side. So we subtract 6n from both sides. And then now we're left with -3n equals -5. If we divide both sides by -3, we get n equals 5/3. So good job if you got that.
So the first example of a word problem that you might commonly see is 3 times a number is 7 less than 28. And we kind of did this just before, like just now. Yeah, I see 3x is equal to 28 minus 7. And yeah, so 3x is going to be equal to 21, and then you divide both sides by 3 to get x is equal to 7, right? Niyati, be careful. When it's, John, can you go back to example 1? When it says 7 less
Okay,
than 28, it doesn't mean 7 minus 28. It's going to mean 28 minus 7, because it's going to be 7 less than 28. All right, that's what that 7 less means. It's not going to be 7 minus 28.
So our second example is a little more like a word problem. So at Costco, 32 cans of Coke costs a total of $8.96. And what is the cost per can? And here you're just assuming that each can is worth the same amount of money. So we can set a variable C as the cost of the can. And so yeah, that would be the equation you set up. 32 times C is equal to 8.96. Then you would just divide both sides by 32 to get your answer of 28 cents per each can.
Example 3, a new one-year membership at RecPlex costs $160. A registration fee of $28 is paid up front, and the rest of the membership cost is paid monthly. So how much do new members pay each month? All right, first of all, does anyone want to take a guess at what the equation would be for this scenario?
Would you do 160 minus 28 divided by 12?
Yeah, that works. And then set that equal to what you're solving for, how much do new members pay each month. That works. So our unknown value here is the fee for each month, which we'll represent with the variable. And so there's 12 months in a year. There's also a registration fee that's added to that monthly cost. So this is just a different way from doing it from what you said. So 12 months plus 12 times the monthly cost plus the registration fee. And then we set that equal to 160. And then now when we're solving, we subtract 28 from both sides, and then we divide both sides by 12. And so we find that our monthly fee is $11. All right, so first we're going to do a Jamboard with some word problems. So let's go to that now. Oh wait, actually, We're basically at the halfway point in the lesson, so it's probably ideal that we take time for our 5-minute break now. So you can go do whatever you have to do for the next 5 minutes. Come back at 10:32.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can ask them now.
Let's just use this one.
So we subtract 15 from both sides, and we're going to get x is equal to 7 minus 15, or -8. All right, so now we're going to move on to the next question. A cheese pizza from Mulberry Street is cut into 8 equal pieces. Sold individually, each slice costs $2.25. What is the cost of an entire pizza at this rate? Okay, I see a 12 and I see 18. Okay, I see mostly 18s, and then I see 112. So the answer here is going to be $2.25 times 8. And that's going to be equal to 18, because each slice of pizza costs $2.25, and a whole pizza is made up of 8 slices. So it'd be 8 times $2.25. Right. Okay. From the first quiz to the second quiz, a score dropped to 8 points. The score on the second quiz was 39. What was the first quiz score? Again, I don't think you guys need, I don't think you guys need 3 minutes for this, and I'm already seeing a lot of answers, so. Yeah, 47. So the score on the first quiz, we can say is X, and it dropped 8 points. So X minus 8 is going to be equal to 47. Or not 47. X minus 8 is going to be equal to 39. And then you add 8 to both sides, and you get 39 plus 8 is 47. Well, who's that? Okay. Next question. Eugene had $24 to spend on 3 pencils. After buying them, he had $18. How much did each pencil cost?
All right, so let's switch it up a little, okay? You probably don't need to write an equation to solve this, but just for practice, what equation would you write to represent this problem?
Yeah.
Where the cost of the pencil equals your variable.
So it would be 24 minus 18 is 24 minus 18 divided by 3, right? That's what you're going to get when you're solving for x. But we want like the original, like the first equation that you're supposed to, that you would get before like simplifying and solving for x. So that would be, yes, the answer is $2. And so Eugene had $24 to spend on 3 pencils. And after buying them, he had $18. So 24 minus 3 times the cost of each pencil. So we could say the cost of a pencil is x. So 24 minus 3x is going to be equal to $18. How much did each pencil cost? And so then, yeah, so 24 minus 3x is going to be equal to 18. That's the equation that you would get, and then you just solve for x. Yes, the answer is going to be $2. Right, next question. You bought a magazine. Whoa, wait. Do we have people going ahead?
All right, please don't go ahead, everyone.
Yeah. I don't know who this is. So You bought a magazine for $3 and some candy bars for $2 each. You spent a total of $19. How many candy bars did you buy? Okay, so what equation would you get? Like, what equation should you have? Linear equation. So 3 plus 2x is equal to, um, can you please resize that? Okay. So 3 plus 2x is going to be equal to 19. That's the equation that you're supposed to get because you bought a magazine for $3 and then you're adding 2 times the cost of each candy bar because each candy bar costs $2. So 2 times the amount of candy bars that's going to be equal to $19 because that's how much you spent in total. And then you solve for your variable x. Nice. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next question. If nobody has any questions so far. So Ming won 121 lollipops playing basketball at her school's game night. Later, she gave 4 to each of her friends. She only has 9 remaining. How many friends does she have? Yeah, so the equation, I'll wait for a few more people. Yeah, so the answer is going to be 28 friends. And the equation that you get is 121 minus 4x is going to be equal to 9. Because she has 121 lollipops initially, and then she gives 4 to each of her friends. So minus 4 times x, which is the amount of friends that she has. And that's going to be equal to 9, which is how many she has left over. And then you solve for x by subtracting 121 from both sides and then dividing by negative 4. And then you'll get x is going to be equal to 28. All right. Next question. Juan's cell phone company charges $35 a month for phone service plus 50 cents for each text message. How many text messages does Juan send in a month if his bill was $52? Um, right, both the equation that you're supposed to get and the final answer. So what the question is asking. Okay, so the equation that you're supposed to get is 35 plus 50 plus 0.5x is going to be equal to $52. And this is because the company charges $35 for 1 month, and then you have to pay 50 cents for each text message. So for his bill to be equal to $52, he'd have to send 34 text messages because 34 times 0.5 is going to be equal to 17, and then 17 plus 35 is 52. That's overpriced. Okay. Friendship's soccer team purchased uniforms and equipment for a total cost of $912. The equipment cost $612 and the uniforms cost $25 each. How many uniforms did the school purchase? So on one side, write the equation, and on the other side, write your answer. Okay, so people are saying that the answer is 12 and their equation is going to be 912 minus 612, and that's going to be equal to 300, and then 300 divided by 25 is going to be equal to 12, right? So that's correct. Yeah, 612 plus 25x is going to be equal to 912. And that's the equation, that's like your initial equation. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far about any of the questions that were, any of the word problems that were there? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to number 10. Long's Coffee Shop sells a refill mug for $8.95. Each refill costs $1.50. Last month, Jalissa spent $26.95 on a mug and refills. How many refills did she buy? On one side, write your equation, and on the other side, write the answer. Okay, I haven't seen anything so far. Okay, so I see people are putting answer is 12. I see a 16. And so the answer here is going to be $26.95. All right, so, or sorry, that's not the answer. I'm gonna give you guys the equation. So $8.95 is for a refill mug, and then each refill would cost $1.50. So $8.95 plus $1.50 times each refill. So, and the amount of refills we can say is X. So $8.95 plus $1.50 times X is going to be equal to $26.95. And then to solve this, we'll subtract $8.95 from both sides, and we get 1.5x is equal to $18. And then x here is going to be equal to 12. $18 divided by 1.5 is going to be equal to 12. All right, so the answer is 12. All right, someone had a 16. So if you have any doubt, just ask your question, and if you don't and it was cleared, then we can move on to the next one. Okay. All right. Sandra scores 4 baskets in his first basketball game. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be her. Sandra scores 4 baskets in her first basketball game. She then scored the same number of baskets in each of her next 3 games. If Sandra made 19 baskets total, how many baskets did she score in each of the 3 games? So one side equation, the other side the answer. Yeah, okay, so I see 19 minus 4 divided by 3, and that's going to be equal to 5. Okay, that's correct. So 4 baskets in her first game. So 4 plus, and then she scored the same number of baskets in each of her next 3 games. So 4 plus 3 times the amount of baskets she scored in each game. So 4 plus 3x is going to be equal to 19. You subtract 4 from both sides to get 3x is equal to 15. And then you get x is equal to 5 when you divide by both sides. Okay, 4 plus 3x is equal to 19, not 17. Okay, no, oh, okay. And that was the last question in word problems. So does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, so Deirdre doesn't have any questions. What about anyone else? Okay, I guess not. So now we're going to move on to the Kahoots. We have 2 Kahoots that we're going to be doing.
So we did Kahoots yesterday, but just go to Kahoot or your app and put in the pin that will be on the screen in a second. Yeah, we can wait for you. The person who wanted to get their iPad. Yeah, we can wait for you.
All right. The person who needs to get their iPad, I'm assuming you're Australia. Okay, so I think we can get started. And you should still be able to join if you haven't already.
Yeah. So if you guys want, you can have like a scrap piece of paper next to you so you can solve these on paper. Yeah, so the answer is 0. So first you would subtract 12 from both sides to get 5 times the quantity of x minus 6 is equal to negative 30. Then you would divide both sides by 5, which would give you x minus 6 is equal to negative 6. And then you add 6 to both sides, which gives you x equals 0. So the answer is 6. And this one might like seem a little different, like the word problem, because we're going to learn about this in, I think, our last class, but this one kind of uses a ratio. But you can also write it as a linear equation and solve it. So here, 10 fish. So we're trying to find the cost of each fish right now. So 10x, that's the fish, the cost of each fish, equals 3. So then we get that x equals 3 over 10. Then we can put this into this equation, well, not equation, expression. So set 27x, if we put this in here, so yeah, if you put this in here, you can get this answer you see. Yeah, so one fish is 30 cents. The code, it's at the bottom of the screen on the right. Oh, so the answer for this was -3, and we'll go over it. So some of you might not know what the square root of n, what that means, but that basically means just the number when you square it, the positive number that when you square it equals n. So our equation here would be, so 81 is equal to 9 times the square root of n plus 6. So first we'd subtract 6 from both sides. So then we would get 70, not 5, is equal to 9 times the square root of n. Then we divide both sides by 9. And then 75 over 9 is equal to the square root of n. Oh, that is supposed to be an n. So then you square both sides, and then you would get your answer. So yeah, the answer for this one is 180, and a lot of you got it right. So this is, like some of you guys are saying, a simple ratio, but we can also do it with a linear equation. Here. So 3x equals 9. Then we get the x is equal to 3. Then 1 minute is 60 seconds. So you do 60 times x, or 3, since x is 3, which gives us 180. So this one kind of has 2 variables, but try your best for now. So the answer for this was 16. And so you know that the side lengths of a cube are the same. So then you would set 2 equations, both equal to 8 here. So 4x is equal to 8. And then 0.5y, that's a 0, is equal to, wait, hold on. Sorry, that looks really bad, but is equal to 8. And then you solve both of these. So you get x is equal to 2. Then y is equal to, is that 8? Okay, y is equal to 16. Did I do this wrong? Wait, Yolanda, is this wrong? Shouldn't it be 18?
I got 18 when I did it.
So,
Okay, well, whatever. So I think it's supposed to be 18, but yeah. So we'll just,
yeah, sorry about that. If
yeah,
you
we didn't make
correct
this.
answer.
So yeah, so most of you actually got it right. So good job. And this is just for fun, so.
Some control system.
My laptop died, so I have to. I just have to join on another device.
So this actually also has 2 variables. instead of 1, but I guess we'll just go with it. So it's okay if you guys didn't get this one because we didn't really learn it. But Charlie's age is half of Rand's. That's an R. And then Rand's age is 3 times 8 less than Charlie's age. Okay, that sounds really weird, but I'm guessing it means that Rand's, oh, what happened there? Okay, Rand's age is C minus 3 times 8. So R is equal to C minus 24. Hopefully that's what it means.
Okay, I think it means like 3 times C minus 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So that makes a little more sense. So we'll just like go over, let's skip that one.
I mess up your like writing when I try to unmute.
Oh, okay. So you just need to set up an equation instead of solving it. Okay, so this one was the yellow one because here it tells us that A is equal to B. So we're trying to set an equation for A, and then A is equal to 3 times the square root of B, which is also the square root of A since A is equal to B. Oh, that looks really weird. Minus 2. So if you look at the wording, there's a comma right there, which kind of tells us that not only the square root of B is under the radical, not the whole thing. So yeah, that's why it's the yellow one, not the green one. Can we skip these? Well, should we? Let's see. I guess we can skip ones that look too like that have either 2 variables or look really complicated.
All right, so let's see.
So let's look at this one. A is 3 times.
Should we
should-
skip?
Should we skip?
I'll just skip this one. That seems weird.
Yeah, I feel like the whole thing will be like this now.
Honestly, same. But we do have another Kahoot that might be better.
Yeah. Oh, this one isn't even linear. So here, I'm gonna look through the rest of the Kahoot and see if we should just skip the whole thing.
If you know how to like square root stuff, this one's not that bad.
Okay, yeah, so the rest of these have 2 variables instead of 1.
So we can just go to the other Kahoot.
Yeah, I
That
think
one.
that's gonna be fine.
Okay, well, we can just go
So
to the
sorry, guys. Yeah, we didn't learn this. So
okay, end game.
yeah, you can just end the game.
All right, good job, guys.
Yeah, good job. Thanks for trying your best.
Good job.
Okay, we'll move on to the other Kahoot.
Okay, these questions.
Yeah, I think these are better.
I am gonna. I put my laptop in charging, so I'm gonna join back on that. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can just, this is like for practice and for fun, so you can just like join whenever you can.
All right, find x if 3x equals 2 times the quantity of 3x minus 2. Good job if you got the right answer. So our strategy for doing this can be to first use the distributive property here. And so then that expands that half of the equation into 6x minus 4 equals 3x. And then now we can just isolate the variable like usual to get us subtract 3x from both sides and then add 4 to both sides. That gets us 4 equals 3x. Now we divide both sides by 3, and then we get 4/3 equals x. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, let's continue onward. Good job. The answer here would be 0, because what you can do is you can add 5 to both sides, and then you just get 2x equals 3x. So x has to equal 0. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay. Okay, the time limit on these is actually kind of low. So sorry if you feel kind of rushed. But here you would distribute it again. So then you get 5y minus 35 equals 7y minus 35. And then if you subtract 5y from both sides, and then you add 35 to both sides, then you get 0 equals 2y. So then obviously y must equal 0, like that. All right, the majority for that one was the most chosen answer. So good job. Okay, so this one was a bit simpler. So you subtract 1.1 from both sides. So then 2x equals negative 7.6. And then now you just divide both sides by 2 to get x equals negative 3.8. So good job to the 5 people who put that. And also, if you put yellow as your option, I think you might have gotten confused and just added 1.1 to both sides, maybe. Not really sure. Okay, good job. The answer here is 1. So what you do is negative 6x, and then you distribute this to get negative 6x. And so in more complex problems, you have to be careful with your negative signs so they don't get mixed up. And then minus 14, because 7 times negative 2 equals 14. And the other side, negative 29 minus 5. And then now what you do is you combine like terms and you isolate all the variables on one side. So then this ends up being negative 15x on this side if you add 5x. and then to both sides, and then you also add 14 to both sides, so this equals -15. Divide both sides by -15 and you get 1. We'll probably have to stop midway through this Kahoot because it is kind of long.
I have to go since I have to I have to go to this tour of my new school. So yeah.
All right, that's fine. Just remember, we will post 5 questions for homework after this, so make sure you do them.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. All right, so the answer here is no solution. And yeah, that symbol basically just means no solution. So again, we expand everything. So 7y minus 28 plus y equals 12 plus 8y. And so now we just get 8y minus 28 equals 8y minus 12, which doesn't make sense because if you're subtracting different numbers, sorry, this is a bit confusing. 8y minus 28 equals 8y minus 12. But there's no way that can be possible because you're subtracting different numbers. It just doesn't make sense. And if you subtract 8y from both sides, then you get -28 equals -12, which can't be true. So the answer is no solution. I don't think we really went over this, so it's okay if you just make a guess. The answer here would be true because linear equations are lines, and so the highest exponent you can have of a variable, like you only have x to the first power, you don't have x squared. You shouldn't have those, but we did have some in our other Kahoot because that was a weird Kahoot, okay? So linear equations are always lines, and then these you can only have an exponent of 1. But then if you have like an exponent of 2, then your equation looks something like this if you graph it out, and that's not a linear equation anymore. But don't worry too much about that because you will learn more about that later. And good job. That one is the only one where the exponent is just to the power of 1. The other ones all have an exponent raised to the power of 2. So that wouldn't be linear, like I was talking about before. So we're going to do one more problem, and then we'll stop here. And yeah, that one has 2 variables. So it doesn't fit the criteria. Although this is a kind of a weird question. So let's just pretend that's not a thing. All right, here's the podium. So good job, Prisha. Great job, God Mythical, whoever that is. And congratulations, Dheeraj. Okay. Good job, everyone. Congrats to the runners-up. And now we have one final bit left to cover.
So just like yesterday, we'll have some homework, and it's only 5 questions, and we'll have the Google Classroom assignment for you to turn in your homework at. And just a reminder, you can print it out, make a copy, whatever you want. Just have them by tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, actually, Thursday.
Yeah, no class tomorrow, so don't come. And also, one important thing to note is that like try not to get too frustrated with this homework because some of the problems will be kind of challenging, and just spend like maybe 10 to 15 minutes on it maximum. It's just to kind of gauge where you're at with these topics.
So if anybody has any questions, you guys can ask it in the chat or unmute. This can be about anything, content or how this works.
And if not, you guys are free to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for coming and participating.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
We just said this, but there's no class tomorrow, so
Yeah.
don't come.
It'll be
No,
the
we'll have the same link.
No,
For
it'll
this.
be the same. So I think it's going to be the same link for every day, and we will have class on Friday.
So it's every weekday except Wednesday. So yeah.
No class on Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.
Sanvi, do you have any questions?
Okay.